You guys have probably already heard about this in the news. Kris Tyson, a member of the MrBeast team, got exposed for talking to minors in an inappropriate way. And now MrBeast is also under fire from that. And yeah, let's have a look at the situation.
We are living in an age where our children are being exposed to things they would have never been exposed to in the past.
That's
true. A lot
true.
of children are online, and they can be easily influenced by what they watch, whether on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok,
Or talked
Facebook,
with in an inappropriate
or others.
way.
MrBeast is an influencer with over 300 million subscribers and has a global following.
Yes.
He had in his team an Islamophobe known as Kris Tyson, who transitioned into what he thinks is a woman.
Yo, this is actually so unacceptable. Like, you don't do this to any religion. We Muslims don't do this to the Christians as well. Like, this is actually totally not okay. Like, look, he's clearly Islamophobic. So he's showing a certain event, and then he says, if you haven't read the manga, and shows the Quran. A'udhu billah. May Allah guide this individual. I mean,
who transitioned into what he thinks is a woman. When transitioning, he had the full support of MrBeast and others around the world. However, it has since been revealed that this twisted individual has been grooming young children.
Kris Tyson from MrBeast used me, manipulated me, and did very inappropriate things with me while I was about 15 years old. I was actually friends with Lava GS at the time, who is the main victim of Kris that everyone has been talking about these last few days, who claims he isn't a victim, but we all know he is, and we all know he probably got paid off. Not only that, but he's also under an NDA from when he worked for MrBeast Gaming for 2 years, and he tried to get me to join MrBeast Gaming himself, Lava. He's the one who actually sent me the contract and tried to get me to sign the NDA, at which point I ended our friendship because I knew they were just trying to silence me. Me and him were both initially involved in running Chris's Discord server, helping him set up his Twitch streams and mod.
I mean, there have been a lot of cases already from like people that have like a lot of money, right? Where they are like trying to bribe people and say, hey, you know what, if you keep this a secret, I pay you and stuff. And like we hear this sometimes in the news, right? Like someone is alleged of some crimes and stuff, right? Say, hey, you have done this and that. And then suddenly the person stops the case. Like, why is that? Because they were probably given money or something, right? But only Allah knows, Allahu Alam. But it's actually something that happens often, where like rich people are silencing the people that allege them of crimes, right? And say, hey, you did this and this to me, now I take you to court. And they say, how about like I give you $500,000 US and you're gonna drop the case or something. Like some people, they come down with like a settlement. They say, okay, let's do the settlement, and yeah, there's nothing going on anymore. But yeah, his voice was definitely heard. I think, is it him because of him he got exposed, or who was actually the one that spoke out and actually said what was going on back in the day? Is this the guy? Like, let me know in the comment section if you guys know it. But yeah, who was actually the one who exposed Kris Tyson and actually shared those private messages? Was it him?
His Discord server, helping him set up his Twitch streams and moderating them, as well as other technical back-end things that he needed help with. This Discord server that we were
I heard there were like multiple
had about
people
10
involved
people
with
in
this,
it,
right?
most of whom were minors. I'm not sure how they got in there, other than me and Lava. He won a giveaway, and Kris invited him after that. And Kris invited me after I saw one of his tweets asking for help setting up a Garry's Mod server for the 10 million subscriber MrBeast video. This turned into us having lots of private conversations with Kris and playing video games with him for hours on end. He would also frequently bring up topics that was definitely not appropriate to bring up around 15, 16-year-olds, especially with him being like, I don't know, 20, 21 years old. He would even go as far as linking me several different videos throughout the time of me talking.
Wow.
Not only that, but he had an NSFW bot in his Discord server before he made it public. So when it was just a private server, his little circle of minors. And he would use this NSFW bot to spam different images.
So he had like a whole circle of minors. So it wasn't just like one individual. So it was correct what I've heard, right? So there were like multiple individuals involved with this inappropriate talking to them, right? Wow. Okay. So we are learning more here. That's good. I mean, it's not good that it happened, but it's good that we learn what not to do and who to be careful with. So parents out there, if you have kids, you should sometimes check their social media and let them have a, and you should like look over their shoulder and see what are they actually doing in their daily lives, right? I feel like parents need to be more involved into the daily with the daily life of their children at times, because we're living in a day and age where like a lot of crazy stuff is happening, as we see here, right? So it's always good as a parent to be more careful with what your kids are doing in their free time. Who are they meeting? Who are they talking with? Try to have a good connection and bond with your children, and they will tell you themselves, and you don't even need to really spy much on them, right? So yeah, it's very important to have a good connection with your kids and know what they are doing and who they are talking with. Like, get to know the friends of your kids. This is very, very important. It's an advice I can give you.
Alongside all these 15-year-olds. He would also frequently call me dad and daddy, as well as the others, which I guess we all kind of just took as a joke at the time. You have to think this is someone who we looked up to at the time, we idolized, we thought was the coolest person in the world, so they couldn't really do any wrong in our eyes. But looking back, I was definitely uncomfortable at being called daddy by a 20-year-old, and even just thinking about it now, it's just uncomfortable. This server later went public and became his official Discord server, but before it did, he had me and Lava spend multiple days scrubbing this Discord server clean of all of the N-words he had sent in it, as well as his friends, as well as deleting the NSFW channels and making sure no one could see that he was spamming.
MrBeast has since parted ways with Kris, as it will damage his image to be associated with him. There are even people claiming to be Muslim, advocating for what is clearly prohibited in Islam. They do this as they have been manipulated by the media and their social surroundings, also seeking acceptance from this so-called modern society.
This will never ever happen. Don't hope for it. Don't wish for it as a Muslim. This will never happen. This is definitely the wrong path. So, you know what the Quran says about us Muslims amongst Christians and Jews and disbelievers? So it says in the Quran, and you can look this up, the Christians and Jews will never be satisfied with you until you follow their religion. That means they're only gonna be pleased with you if you completely leave Islam. If you practice a liberal form of Islam, you're still going to be an outsider. If you are like giving half your religion away to please others, they're still gonna look at you like a stranger. They're not gonna treat you as good and equally as they would like another Christian or Jew. Like, this is the issue, because like Allah knows this already and warns us in the Quran about it, that the Jews and the Christians will never be pleased with us until we follow their religion. So what's the point in compromising your religion or giving parts of it away while keeping some parts, or becoming a liberal, let's say, Muslim that only goes to Friday prayer? Like, going to Friday prayer and neglecting your 5 prayers just to please your company boss or someone, they still gonna look at you like, oh, you're the Muslim, right? Like, they're not gonna look at you like you're an equal. This is the problem. Like, I'm not saying like everyone that is like not a Muslim is not going to be kind, or you can't have any like friendship or connection with people of a different faith. No, I'm not saying that. But in general, and this is something I've experienced as a revert Muslim myself, in general, people that are not Muslim and that are either Christian or Jew or atheist, if you interact with them on a not so close way, it's fine, right? But if you become super, super close with them, they will sometimes complain about your religion with something, right? For example, oh, why are you fasting? And this is weird, why you don't drink? And then if you explain them that, they will say, oh, your religion is too strict, this and that. Even if you like explain it properly, or if someone has, for example, a relationship and you are being single because it's haram to have outside of marriage relationships, they're gonna look at you like, oh, you're that virgin person, or this and that, you are so strange. So even if you try to get like close to them, like sometimes there are individuals, they're gonna find something about you that they don't like. Either they find you too strict for fasting and they're gonna complain about you. And even if you explain them, they don't want to understand. It's like it goes into one ear and then out of another. So even if you explain it properly, they still don't get it. If you're doing something that they don't do, or you suddenly say, hey, excuse me, I'm quickly going 5 minutes somewhere to pray, they're going to think like, oh, what is this guy doing? He's weird or something, right? So this is what I'm saying. Like, if you as a Muslim try to compromise on your deen to please non-Muslims, they will find at least one thing they don't like about you, and this will be enough for them to not treat you as an equal. This is a reality. You can't change that. And Allah knows it and warns us in the Quran about it. Because Allah is the
As
all-knowing.
parents, we should be monitoring what our children are doing on the internet.
That's what I said earlier.
We should also be wary of what we show to them,
Yeah.
as almost everything being pushed to children is full of sinister agendas.
Yeah, why is
This
there so much
programming
rainbow
starts
going on?
practically from birth. When you look at shows targeted for babies like Coco Melon, which includes same-sex parents and boys wanting to dress like girls, it's clear what the agenda is. Children will see these things from a young age and believe it's normal. This is why it is so important to teach your children about Islam
Yes.
from an early age.
Take
It
them
will
to the
make
masjid.
complete sense to them, as we are all born with the innate disposition that recognizes the oneness of God.
So yeah, my warning for everyone out there that has kids, make sure you actually give them the right activities as well. Because, for example, let's say you have a very, very active child, right? And your child is like getting completely on your nerves, running around the house all the time, throwing stuff around, just super hyperactive. Try to sometimes take your kid out, go to the playground, do some activities, buy a football, a small basketball. Give the child something active to do with his or her hands or feet, right? So they don't spend so much time on the phone or at the TV or screen or something. Try to give them distractions that are something that they do actively, like sports or something, right? Take them to the playground. Have them play with maybe the neighbor's kids or something, right? Don't lock them in a room and give them the phone or the iPad or something, because they are going to consume a lot of junk, and they're gonna think like this and like, oh, wait, there can be a man and man can be a husband and husband, a woman and women can be wife and wife. Wait, what? Wait, alcohol is not bad, this and that. Like, you have to be very, very careful. Like, kids consume something and then they learn from it instead of learning from you. And there are people, like in this case with Kris Tyson, right, that will speak to your children in an inappropriate way. And if you don't know who they are talking with or friends with or about their social media use, they can actually become targets of like inappropriate conversations, or even worse, it can lead to something far beyond that. You have to be very, very careful with your kids on social media, definitely. Like, the internet is not how it used to be. Like, I remember back in the day, like 10 plus years ago, when I was like getting really active on the internet. And I just turned an adult. Like, I remember that, like, there was not so much junk and weird stuff on the internet, right? Like, you didn't have, like, people saying, oh, yesterday I was a boy, today I'm a girl, I changed my gender, or... Like, even music back in the day was not as bad as it is today. It was less sexualized and stuff. Like, a lot of stuff has changed over the last 5-6 years. It has gotten even worse. So if you look back to what was like 5-6 years ago, this is when you saw like some change happening. In the last 3-4 years, it got even worse. Like, it started getting worse even before COVID came and other stuff, right? So, yeah, we have to be really careful. May Allah keep the children safe. Ameen. And may Allah guide the parents so they can become role models for their children. Ameen. But yeah, this is like a big issue. And if you're like a public figure, like MrBeast, for example, you have the same with like the Dream, for example, from the Minecraft community, right? And there were like some members on the Dream SMP that also got accused of certain crimes and stuff. Like, if you are a public figure and you are like really famous with millions of followers, be really, really, really careful who you work with, because those people you work with can also taint your image and make you look like the bad guy. So MrBeast didn't talk inappropriate to any kids, but one of his team members did. But now everyone thinks, oh, MrBeast is an evil guy, even though it was his colleague, not him, right? And this is the thing, it's like very, very dangerous if you are like a famous person with who you work with, right? So you have to really select the individuals that are clean and trustworthy, because if they do something bad, it can also put dirt on your image. Like seriously, you have to be very careful if you're famous. And if you're a young adult and you have the means, or you have someone you can get married to, if you are a content creator, you're famous, try to get married ASAP, like as fast as you can. Why? Because this will protect you in the first way of getting into inappropriate conversations with people. If you have a wife that is going to hit you with a pen on your head, like boom or something, if you talk to someone in an inappropriate way, like you're gonna think twice about talking to someone in an inappropriate way, because you have your wife behind you and she's like, honey, who are you talking to? So you won't even get into such garbage, right? This is why it's even suggested for us Muslims to get married at a young age, because this protects you. And you will also keep your gender. If you are a young man and you get married as like maybe even with 19 or 20, doesn't matter, 22, you won't even consider changing your gender, because you have a wife, you consume the marriage, you do other stuff, right? Like you won't even think about cutting something off, literally. Like that's why I'm saying people should get married early. If you are a famous person, make sure that the people you're working with are good individuals, because this can get also on your image what they do, right? Be careful with, like Dream has now some problems, MrBeast has some problems, and there are many more famous people that get into trouble because of people that they used to work with. So yeah, be careful with that, right? But yeah, guys, if you enjoyed this video, think it is informative, please don't forget to give this one a thumbs up. And if you guys are new to this channel, please don't forget to subscribe. And I will see you guys next time, inshallah.